Senator Murphy, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
I want to ask you a few pointed questions about the operation against the Al-Shifa hospital right now in Gaza. So the top UN humanitarian official, Martin Griffiths, has said this carnage cannot be allowed to continue. Others have weighed in very, very strongly about something that's really beginning to really test everybody's, I guess, tolerance now. Do you support the Israeli storming of Al-Shifa?
So let's just back up, if we could, for a moment. This is the first time that you and I have had the chance to talk about this. Israel has to destroy Hamas's military capabilities. The world cannot permit Hamas to be able to launch an attack like they did on October 7th. And war is difficult. It's ugly. Civilians often get hurt, and Hamas makes that much worse, as you know, by embedding themselves and their equipment and their assets inside civilian buildings, inside hospitals and churches and schools and mosques. That's Hamas's decision to use human beings as shields. What I have said, though, is that the number of civilians being killed right now inside Gaza is unacceptable and it's unsustainable. And in fact, I think it's contrary to Israel's long-term security objectives, because Hamas is going to grow in strength, potentially, if the civilian death count remains this high. So I think that Israel has to begin to make different targeting decisions. I will be honest with you, I am not privy to the intel on this specific asset, but ultimately, the civilian numbers, casualty numbers, have been too high, and I think Israel has to begin to make different decisions, even while it continues the fight. I don't support a ceasefire. I think Israel should continue the fight against Hamas. I just think the civilian death count has become too high.
Can I ask you to clarify? You said just now you don't support a ceasefire, but you do support a short-term cessation of hostilities. In fact, you came out quite early in this war voicing concerns about civilian deaths. Can you explain to me what you mean, how long, and now, in the intervening, time, when you're describing this civilian casualty toll, do you think it's time to call for more?
So I just don't accept the premise that the only two choices here are a ceasefire, which sounds to me like ending the fight against Hamas, and the current level of civilian death. You are talking about civilian casualty counts on a daily basis that are higher than most all other modern conflicts. So to me, two things have to happen. One, yes, I support a humanitarian pause in order to set up the ability to get humanitarian assistance and food and water to the citizens of Gaza. I also think that's the only way that you get the hostages out. But I also just believe there has to be a change in the strike calculus for Israel. I think there have often been decisions made that had far too high civilian death counts when looking at the importance of the Hamas asset that you were taking out. So I think both of those things have to happen. More surgical strikes, more concern for the impact on civilians, and a humanitarian pause, either several days or a couple hours every day, in order to be able to deliver humanitarian relief and get the hostages out of there.